Today we're going to be discussing stress relief strategies to support your child and your family this holiday season. And the reason we're discussing this today is because, let's be real, right? The holidays are not a joyful time full of hope, full of love, gatherings together, but it can also be a really stressful time for families. We know it's especially sometimes pretty stressful for our neurospicy children who struggle with sensory overload, and with students who have anxiety, social anxiety, or who are becoming much more stressed this time of the year because they're wrapping up the semester and engaging in finals. So it's a really busy time, not only for them academically, but also for the whole family, right? Normally during this time of the year, that is when families are traveling, visiting family, or you're planning a vacation. We know there's a lot involved in that. You're hosting or you're going to social events. And so, it's not, we're outside of our normal routine, right? And when things kind of shift, it's hard for our kiddos and for ourselves to adjust to the changes quickly. And, during this time, even though it is a lot of fun, it is really busy. We've got things planned nearly every weekend and during the week as well. And, there's a lot of guilt in that as parents. I need to go to the recital. I need to cook this. There's a lot of guilt in that. And so we're really hoping that today not only helps your children in helping them manage the stress and, some of the feelings that come during this holiday season, but also you and your whole family as well. So the strategies that we'll share with you today, we'll share about 5 of them, I believe. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll share 4 strategies with you today. Are really easy for you to incorporate into your day-to-day lives. We're not trying to stress anyone out more. In fact, these are going to be really easy for you to just slip into your day and not feel like you're changing much that you already have in your routines. Okay, our goal is to alleviate some of the stress today during this holiday season, not just this season though, from here on out. All right. Now, why are we focusing on this so much? Because we know that we must be able to take care of ourselves in order to take care of those around us, right? If you are running on low, or if you're like a rubber band who's just stretching and stretching and stretching, and you continue to stretch without being mindful, all of a sudden you will snap, right? And what tends to happen when we're snapped is we are emotionally dysregulated, or we feel like we're starting to drop the ball in different areas. And, that doesn't just create stress on you, but it will also create stress for the rest of your family. So we want you to take care of yourself. Taking care of yourself will not only be beneficial for you and your family, but also your children and your spouse will model and observe what you're doing and hopefully begin to replicate some of the same practices and prioritize their own self-needs as well, which is so important. Okay, so let's talk about somewhat the benefits that, for example, mindfulness has. So today's discussion will be a lot about mindfulness and ways for you to incorporate mindfulness into your day-to-day lives. So benefits of mindfulness, research shows that it does help with ADHD. In fact, it enhances the focus on the present moment, okay? When we are in a mindful state, when we are practicing mindful exercises, we are pretty focused on what is happening then, there, and now. Research done by the Journal of Attention Disorders says that mindfulness training has improved attention and impulsive behavior in children with ADHD. So we want to incorporate a lot of this because what it's doing is it's actually developing more gray matter in your child's brain and in your brain, right? And gray matter is actually associated with it's what our brain uses to perform complex tasks, such as executive function skills. It's the Wade's brain of processing and thinking. That is what gray matter is. White matter is different. White matter is the speed at which areas of the brain communicate with one another. Okay, so mindfulness does develop the gray matter in all brains, including your child's. And if your child is at an age where their brain is pruning and rapidly developing, we really want to incorporate mindfulness into their day-to-days. I remember when I was a teacher, my school had mindfulness club, and very few kids took advantage of it. So if you have a mindfulness club in your school, please encourage your children to go there and praise them when they do. Research also shows that mindfulness techniques has been proven to improve working memory capacity, which at first we thought we were unable to improve, and reading comprehension. It's also shown to improve our sleep and increase, again, the density of gray matter in our brain. And what we most know it for is that it helps us with emotional regulation. Okay, so it teaches us to recognize emotions. So we become much more aware of our behavior, and then we can learn how to label how we're feeling or our emotions, which then helps us to better manage ourselves, which leads to better decision making, right? So there's so many benefits in mindfulness. It also teaches us through emotional regulation how to think and how to pause, then think, and then respond instead of react to a situation. Again, because we're in the present moment, we have more gray matter, we're able to access, the parts of our brain that relate to logic and thinking. We're able to respond back instead of react in a much more sensible way. It reduces our emotional reactivity. So again, impulsivity or going from those big highs and big lows. Improves emotional resilience. So we're able to see things from others' perspectives, and it increases our empathy. And because of all of this, we are going to see an improvement in our relationship to others. Okay. Not only does it improve emotional regulation, sleep, gray matter, and executive function skills, but it will also reduce anxiety and stress. So the reason for that is it creates a sense of calm and sort of like relaxation in their body. When my students would go to mindfulness, even when we do mindfulness practice here actually, even if it's just for a minute, you can immediately see the effects that it has on the person you are practicing it with. You enter the session much more calmly, the session goes much more smoother. And it also grounds the amygdala. So the amygdala is the part of the brain that is dedicated to managing our emotions. And the reason for that is because it helps us to focus on the present. So in all, it kind of balances the brain out, right? So it cools down our hot areas of the brain that are related to emotion, and it allows us to access areas of the brain that allows us to think more logically, sensibly, and with higher order skills. So, what are some exercises that we would love to suggest for you to practice with your family this holiday season? And we promise these exercises will not take more than a couple minutes of your day, will have groundbreaking effects, and will be easy to incorporate and quick to do. So one of them is mindful breathing. Okay, so when we do this, we want to model and teach our children how to inhale through the nose, then we want to exhale through the mouth, and as we exhale, and inhale, we want to count to 4 on the inhale and count to 4 on the exhale. Okay, this exercise is going to let the brain know that you are safe. Okay, it's going to deliver oxygen, blood, nutrients everywhere to all your cells in your brain. So it's going to help calm the brain and you. Again, this is a signal to your body that you are safe, whether you are in fight, flight, or freeze mode, or just, taking it easy. It's going to let your body know that you're safe, that you're being taken care of. So that is mindful breathing. 4 counts inhale, 4 counts as an exhale. The other one we're encouraging you to do is a body scan, and this one's one of my favorites. So you can start just by plant your 2 feet on the floor and your hands somewhere where you can feel all your fingers as well as your toes. You want to start from the bottom of your feet, right? And you want to start moving up the focus. So what are you feeling when you're on your toes? Where are your heels located? What's your calf tension like? You want to move up your body. So you want to be present on how each area of your body is feeling. And if you're touching something, how much weight is getting put on it. How does your right side compare to your left side? Do you need to relax your eyebrows, your shoulders? What else would it help you to relax a bit more? This promotes body awareness and relaxation. because we are noticing our own sensations and the tensions that we have in our body. So it really kind of helps to ground and relax us. Okay, the next one is a gratitude practice, and this we talked about in our previous, our last week's session. But gratitude is really, you want to mention 1 to 3 things that you or your family are grateful for, right? So we do this in session at the start of every session. I do this with my husband every night. But, thinking about what we're grateful for really enhances our well-being, and it fosters a positive mindset. So it helps the brain to be much more attuned to all the good that is happening in your life. It will derail or help you to think of negative thoughts differently. You're going to focus much more on what's the good that's happening in your life versus what's lacking in your life, right? So it's almost like it teaches you to have a glass full versus a glass half full versus glass half empty sort of mindset. Okay, so for exercises for the body, we had mindful breathing, body scans, and gratitude practice. Now, what are some mindfulness exercises to reduce holiday stress and anxiety this season? Okay, so we know we're going to be eating a lot, right? And that's a good thing. We love the holiday food. It's so good. And we're also going to be spending a lot of time with people. But it's also a time when we're very busy. So we're not always going to be eating with family members. Oftentimes you might be eating alone. Your children might eat alone. Everyone's going to be kind of on different schedules. And so one way for us to do this is to, on the days that we are together, right, to really take advantage of these precious times. So one way is to do mindful eating. So during meals, you want to encourage your family to savor each bite, right? So they can really taste all the ingredients that each bite has. Notice the smells of the food that you guys are eating, the textures, all the flavors, the colors. So it's kind of like you're kind of analyzing the food that you're eating, but in a very savory sort of way, right? So you can also do breathe or pray if you're religious, right? You can breathe, pray, or set an intention before the meal starts as a family. And overall, doing either one of these will increase the enjoyment of the meal. And not only that, but it will also reduce overeating. So that way we're really being present with how our bodies are feeling, how much more do we need, or whether or not we're full, and we can say no, even though that, second slice of holiday cake sounds really good right now. And then the other one you can do as a whole family to reduce some stress and anxiety is go on mindfulness walks with your family. So if you guys have a dog and you already go for a walk, incorporate some mindfulness into this. So you can start by focusing on the sensations. So with each step, how do your feet feel when you with each step that you take? How is your body moving? Where are you holding some of the stress or tension? And then also sounds that you're listening to in nature, what you're noticing or observing in nature. Something I really like to ask students to do is notice 3 different sounds that you hear and 4 different things that you're seeing, right? So you can constantly be asking this. You can play a game with your kiddos. And this honestly goes for any grade level. No matter how young or old your child is, you can incorporate this. We used to take our students out to Sacramento on a field trip. And one of the activities we did was a long hike. And out of everything, and they spent 30 seconds where they were hiking on their own in the wilderness. Well, of course, we were watching them, but they thought they were alone, where we were asking them just to observe simply what was happening in nature, sounds, and what they were observing. And when we got back from the trip, it was a 3-night trip. Out of everything they could possibly name, cabin, airplane rides, flights, everything, like 80% of our students named that 30-second time they had to themselves in nature. And so again, we take these moments for granted, yet we don't realize the profound effect that they have on students or our children and on our own self, right? Just even taking 30 seconds to kind of ground ourselves and regulate things can drastically make a difference to our present state and the rest of the day and how we interact with those around us. So we have mindful eating and mindful walking as two activities you can do with your family to reduce stress and anxiety this holiday season. And the last one we're going to do is talking about how do we create a calming and peaceful environment. Because during this time, decorations are beautiful, right? Lights, the Christmas, Hanukkah decorations. It's a time for us to really celebrate the, these holidays that we have that come once a year. Sometimes though, it can be really it can overload the senses for our students, and not just the decorations and the space, but also the noise level, right? So we want to be mindful of what does my child need to feel comfortable in the space that they're spending time with. So we want to mindfully decorate. So involve your child in decorating mindfully. So pay attention to, guys can pay attention to the decorations you're putting up, the placement of the decorations. Maybe you want to minimize or simplify some of the decorations, or you may have an area or a room that is fully decorated and the rest of the house is not, so that they can have a place to come back to that isn't so crowded. You may want to add some white noise machines, or think about the lights that you guys are using. Perhaps those bright LED lights are too much, but maybe the dimmer, cooler ones are better for your child. So you may want to have calming toys or calming pictures nearby. Again, we want to think about how can we reduce some of the sensory overload with the decorations. So we also want to be mindful of their space, right? So perhaps it's, I always say keep their workspace as much as you can the same, right? So maybe you want to have calming toys or pictures again, or you might want to have calming scents, lights, books nearby, something that's going to kind of ground them and keep them centered, that isn't, again, overloaded with a lot. And then family rituals, right? This is part of creating a peaceful home environment. So perhaps in the morning, you guys do a quick 3-minute morning stretch together, or you can do a bedtime body scan, right? You guys can tense up your bodies for 10 seconds and then release the tension. Apps such as Headspace or Calm for Kids guide children and teens as well in guided mindfulness practices that we also recommend. If your child is pretty stressed out, avoiding their homework and studying this holiday season, or you feel like you're feeling pretty defeated, whether it be because of their ADHD or learning differences that they're falling behind, please schedule a call with us. Visit WeThriveLearning.com. And I will promise to get in touch with you. I'll try to share some home strategies with you. I want to learn what's going on for you and your child so that we can see if this would be a good fit. And if I believe it's not a good fit, I will refer you to another resource who may be able to help, whether that be another educational therapist, ADHD coach, or someone completely out of our clinical practice.